What's going on, guys? Chris here, Awkward Finance Guy. In today's video, we're going to talk about the child support calculator and how to figure out the formula for how much money you owe with child support. And I get asked this all the time because I have a series of videos that I talk about child support debt, lottie dottie. So, what we're going to do here, what I advise people to do is always to kind of just jump into Google and to just do a search for child support calculator. It comes right up if you search for it, and what happens is usually they're going to have a different child support calculator per state. And a lot of times, what you have to do is you have to figure it out the website per state. And what you have to do is just find the calculator and click on it. And it asks you a bunch of variables. And a lot of times, this is a lot more intense than what people are kind of like expecting. Because, like, for example, um, what is the monthly amount each parent is ordered to pay in spousal maintenance? Like a lot of times this is a lot more technical than what the average person is like ready for. And th- again, this is a formula they use for child support. These are the variables. And a lot of times people have to have a court case to figure all this out. And it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And I would say to simplify this, what you want to do is actually hire an attorney or someone to help you do this. It's my honest advice because a lot of this can just be like super overwhelming. And but I can tell you, I can shed some light on what some of the easiest or most important variables are. So the number one most important variable is how they figure child support, or like this calculator formula on how what you owe, is how many nights the child stays with the parent, because you have to figure out who has what percentage of custody. And in the perfect situation, you will pay the least amount when it's 50-50 split. A lot of people don't want this 50-50 split, especially if like the baby mama or baby daddy want more money. They are going to fight for it. I've actually heard of situations where like the mom will move farther away because, if like this is an example, the guy owns a house in set city, and then they lived close together to begin with, but the mom moves to an apartment 30 minutes away. Therefore, makes it impossible for the dad to have them sleep over and bring the child to school in the morning because you have to drive 30 minutes, and it makes it harder. So they get more percentage custody and they pay a lot more in child support. And it kind of sucks, but that's why it's important to kind of know the reasons why you're paying more. So it's figured on percentage of custody. So if you have 50-50 split, that means you have 50, you split each days, and you split the same amount of days and nights each week. And a lot of people, especially dads, I'm going to be honest with you, dads kind of don't step up with this. And, they kind of just want to be like a part-time dad. But being a part-time dad usually means that they're going to be paying a lot more in child support. And this is the biggest factor. And the second biggest factor is obviously going to be income. Initially, the perfect situation, what the government and kind of the system wants, what they want to have happen is to have both parents have similar or related incomes, because that's how the formula works for calculating the child support. If one parent makes a drastically big difference in income, if you make way more money than, say, the father, then the formula is going to lean on you to kind of pick up that slack. Because what they do here is they kind of like they try to create a system where the money is equaled out to the same for the child, even though you make way more money, the child or the other parent is still going to get it. It's essentially like you're married, but you're not. But because you have to remember, you are taking care of the child as a team, and that's kind of how the system or the government figures it out. And as far as, some ways that people kind of cut back on paying child support is, like I said, you get the 50-50 custody. Sometimes what people do is they will kind of run their own business. This is kind of a loophole. I probably shouldn't even talk about this because people are going to get ideas and it's kind of a toxic idea. But guys, I will stress that the children deserve their child support money. And a lot of times it is just justice served, a lot of times, and the kids need money to eat, lunch money, etc. But one way to kind of get around paying child support is for a person to have their own small business, because what happens is, if you run a small business, your revenue gets a little complicated. Maybe you get like paid, you're a subcontractor and you get paid 1099. They can't technically judge that gross revenue off of child support because you could have a ton of business deductions and write-offs, and that's what people do. What they'll essentially do is their business will make a gross revenue of say $100,000, but then they'll buy a new truck, a four wheeler, they'll go on vacations, they'll do this and that, and then they'll use that as business deductions because if it's business related, they can use it as a deduction to bring down that revenue and make it seem like they made little to zero money whatsoever. Because if you make very little money at the end of the year revenue, then you don't have to pay taxes on that. So hopefully that helps answer some of these questions. And again, like I said, that calculator, if you just do a Google search and try to figure out like they'll have a state calculator for you. Good luck to you on trying to figure out your child support. A lot of times I would just advise people to get a divorce lawyer if you're going through a divorce, or just a child support lawyer, an attorney. They can really help you figure this stuff out because a lot of times, especially if you're trying to like open up like case files, you just have no idea what you're doing. And sometimes I hear of people actually opening a case file against themselves and wind up paying more money than what they were before. So you have to be very careful. And again, this whole system does kind of suck as far as like paying for child support, but it is what it is, guys. Hopefully, this helped you figure out the child support calculator system or the formula on how to figure out your child support and what you owe or what you're going to pay. Please consider subscribing, guys. I know this is a finance channel, it's kind of boring stuff, but it is what it is. I helped you here, so help me by subscribing back. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subs, guys. I will see you in the next one. Child support calculator.